And welcome everybody to the Kiosk Presents here in Buffalo and Western New York. You know, we have a lot of very special people here at the Kiosk Presents, and today's no exception because we have Dr. Daniel Amen, MD. He is New York Times best-selling author. You may have seen him on public television, I know I have. And he has a new book from Harmony Books, Unleash the Power of the Female Brain. Dr. Amen, welcome to the Kiosk Presents.
Thank you so much.
You know, I read some of the book. I haven't read it all because I was only given the book a couple days ago, but it's a very, very insightful book because you've written over 30 books on brain health, but this one's focusing it's called Unleash the Power of the Female Brain. That suggests that the female brain is tethered in some way. What do you mean by that, unleash the power?
Well, we did a study with 46,000 scans looking at the differences between male and female brains, and they were radical. And what we found is the front part of the brain, called the prefrontal cortex, largest in humans and in any other animal by far, was much more active in the female brain. And their emotional brain toward the center was also more active. So it gives them special strengths like empathy, intuition, collaboration, self-control, and what most people wouldn't think of as strength, a little worry. But what we've discovered is the don't worry, be happy people die earlier from accidents or preventable illnesses. So that little bit of worry actually gets you to the doctor faster. It helps you make good decisions. But the tethering really comes from the vulnerabilities. Because of the increased activity, females have a higher incidence of anxiety disorders, depression, which they have twice as much as men, insomnia, eating disorders, pain, and being unable to turn off their thoughts. In a study from Canada, females produce 52% less serotonin than men. Serotonin is the natural, happy, feel-good, anti-anxiety chemical in our brain. They have less, and there are many natural ways. I talk about this in the book on how to optimize serotonin so you just feel better. You feel happier. It also decreases cravings, improves your sense of peace and well-being, and turns off those thoughts that keep circling in your head.
You know, doctor, most men won't argue with you that women's brains are different than theirs. And I think of the My Fair Lady song, why can't a woman be more like a man? Well, they're quite a bit different. But you talk about brain chemistry an awful lot, and you talk about food being the best medicine for healing some of these problems that we find with the brain. And talk to me about food and brain chemistry just a little bit more. And is eating chocolate really going to increase serotonin levels?
Well, food is medicine, or it's poison. And unfortunately, in our society, we're poisoning a lot of people. Over the last 20 years, the longevity for men has gone up 5 years, but only 2.4 years for women. In fact, in 660 counties across the United States, longevity for women has either stayed the same or gone down. And in large part, it's because there's a higher incidence of obesity, diabetes, hypertension, and heart disease. So getting your food right is absolutely critical. Now, you mentioned chocolate. Chocolate's a superfood. The problem is when you mix it with milk and a lot of sugar, it now becomes toxic. It's not good for you. So sugar-free dark chocolate, maybe sweetened with stevia, tastes great and can be really healthy for you. But the typical chocolate, clearly it's not in your best health interest. Simple carbohydrates tend to actually hurt people. If you have a diet filled with rice, pasta, potatoes, sugar, it increases your risk for Alzheimer's disease 5-fold. If you have a diet that's filled with healthy fat, so it used to be fat was the enemy, but it's totally not the enemy. People have a fat-based diet, so think fish, nuts, healthy oils actually have 42% less risk for Alzheimer's disease. So you can use food as medicine, or food is poison. Now, there's some smart carbohydrates that actually raise serotonin. Sweet potatoes, Chickpeas have a high content of serotonin. So what you eat, there's a whole section on this in the book, can help you focus, can help your mood, can decrease your anxiety, and eating in another way will just make you crazy. So people who tend to worry, more often women, when they go on a really, really, really low carbohydrate, high protein diet, it often makes them mean because now they can't stop thinking about all the bad thoughts in their head.
Well, sure. Well, you know, there's a chapter, Breaking the Hurtful Psychological Food Patterns of the Past, which I found very fascinating. And you talk about the mom or the grandma baking cookies with their grandchildren and bringing back all the warm, fond memories, but these cookies that they're baking are really toxic foods for the brain.
No question. You know, I have worked with so many women who say, you know, I'm having such trouble giving up the chocolate cookies because that's a symbol of love from my grandmother. And oh, by the way, their grandmother now has Alzheimer's disease or died of a stroke. You can create new memories with your children and with your grandchildren by learning how to cook really healthy food, which can be incredibly tasty. You know, I'm blessed. My wife has written 3 cookbooks, brain healthy cookbooks, and it's amazing how she can take a recipe that you would think is bad, make it with healthy ingredients, and make it taste great. So it just takes a little forethought, which women are actually great at, and it can make a dramatic difference in your health. Another important part I talk about in the book is hormones, because they're important for men, but dramatically more important for females. And when their hormones drop, say perimenopause or menopause, they often have brain problems that you can ameliorate, often using natural treatments.
We're in Buffalo, New York, the chicken wing capital of the world. Would you say that chicken wings are definitely not a good food for the brain?
You know, it all depends on how they're prepared, but, you know, when you fry bread, you know, when you bread them and then fry them, that's definitely not good for the brain. But if you take baked chicken and you want to make sure the chicken is hormone-free, antibiotic-free, free-range, grass-fed, it's a wonderful source of protein. You just have to be careful with how you prepare it.
So there's a little note of hope there that we can have healthy buffalo chicken wings if we prepare them correctly. Oh, thank you for that. Oh, good. My sponsor won't get rid of me now. Thanks to you. All right. You know, the other thing too is women do live longer in general. Why do women just in general live longer than men?
Well, I think in part it's because they make better decisions. You know, men go to jail 14 times more than females, and that's just a symptom of the quality of the decisions men tend to make overall. So women tend to have better forethought and make better decisions. The other thing that's really important is when they need help, they're much more likely to ask for help. Yep. So men, they can be in the middle of a heart attack or a middle of a stroke and go, I'm fine, you know, I'll just sleep it off. Where a woman is like, oh my goodness, I have to go to the hospital. That is very important. I have 6 psychiatric clinics around the country, and more often than not, if a child is having trouble, like 9 times out of 10, it's the mother who calls for help. Even if their husband's having trouble, it's the woman that says he needs to get in and see you. So that's ability to admit problems and get help for them helps them live longer. But because they live longer, they also have a higher incidence of Alzheimer's disease. And I'm absolutely convinced you can dramatically decrease your risk for Alzheimer's disease by living in the way I talk about in this book.
Well, Doctor, we have a lot of female viewers, and let's make this a class 101 on unleashing the power of the female brain. They haven't gone out and got your book yet, but what's the one thing somebody could do today to start developing better brain health? I mean, from the time this television program ends to beginning their day, it's first thing in the morning, what would be the first suggestion you would make to a person, a lady, about developing better brain health and just better sense of well-being overall?
So I want them to play a game that I play with my daughter. So Chloe is 9, and Chloe and I have been playing this since she was 2. It's called, Is This Good for My Brain or Bad for It? So no matter what it is you do, you ask yourself, is this good for my brain or bad for it? So if I go playing tackle football, she'll go, oh, not good. Your brain is soft, your skull is hard. If I say avocado, she'll say 2 thumbs up. If I say blueberries, she'll ask me if they're organic, because blueberries are great for the brain when they're organic, but they also hold more pesticides than almost any other fruit, and we know that pesticides are bad for your brain. Just the awareness, that's the first place to start. Your brain matters, and you're either helping it every day or you're hurting it.
Well, thank you. That's good. That's good. You know, we heard a rumor there will be a book on the men's brain, but it'll be a much shorter book. Is that true? All right. Well, listen, Dr. Daniel Amen, M.D., New York Times bestselling author. The book is Unleash the Power of the Female Brain. Doctor, thank you so much. Great insights, great medicine, and thank you for joining us here in Buffalo on the Kiosk Presents.
Thank you so much.